Hi everyone, welcome to another video by Optionables. My name is Saket, and in today's video we are going to look at what happened to the markets, what we can expect from the markets tomorrow, and finally what happened to our trade. Before we move on, I would like to address today's FAQ regarding the target app. So the FAQ is regarding what if the order is rejected due to margin shortfall or any of the reasons, what will be the action taken by the target app. So one thing what we have to understand is whenever the order is rejected, it will be mainly due to the margin shortfall. Otherwise, if the margin is sufficient, then the order might just get missed, but it won't get rejected. So whenever the order is rejected due to margin shortfall, there is nothing much we can do from our end. So all we can do is to notify you saying that this particular order was not executed due to margin shortfall, and you will receive a message saying that this order is rejected and please log into the app to check the position. So we won't be taking any action from our end in case if there is any rejection due to the shortfall of margin. So apart from that, if there is any other rejection also, so usually we won't see any kind of rejections apart from the margin shortfall rejection. So even if there is any other rejection, which is a very rare case to happen, still then you will be receiving a notification as to the order is rejected and please log into your app to check it. So this is today's FAQ, and also we'll be launching the target app soon. We are right now working on optimizing the system so that it will work seamlessly. So next week we'll be coming out with a video where we will show live execution from the target app, how we build systems and how the systems will get executed in the live market. So we'll be putting the entire video recording, and very soon we will launch it for the early access. And now we'll be quickly moving on and looking at what happened to the markets. So when we actually look at the markets today, the opening was quite flattish, so it was not a huge gap up or a gap down. Even though SGX was indicating a slight gap up, immediately it was sold into and the markets traded absolutely flat, and Bank Nifty consolidated around 35,000 itself, and Nifty was also quite flat. And around 10 o'clock we had the RBI policy. So the RBI governor came in and he told that he'll be increasing the interest rates by 50 basis points. So this 50 basis points was slightly higher than the estimate because many people or many analysts had anticipated a 40 basis point rate hike. But in spite of this, banking stocks ended up shooting higher. The reason was quite simple. Even though there were such positive global cues in the last week, Indian markets underperformed. So the banking sector had fallen even with a positive global cues last week. So today, even though the news was not that favorable, the markets shot up. After the news was out, the market did consolidate for around 15 to 20 minutes and later started to shoot up. So Bank Nifty at a point surged close to 500 points, and even Nifty did go up by 120 to 130 points, and very soon it hit the peak. As it hit the peak, we slowly started to see some selling come in. So selling not just in banking sector but across all the sectors. So we saw oil, we saw technology, we saw banking sector, everywhere the selling slowly started to come in and the stocks slowly started to come down as well. So very soon Nifty, which almost was up by 100 points, immediately came to red, whereas Bank Nifty was still trading in 150-200 points green, but very soon even Bank Nifty ended up trading in red. So that means the moment the market tried to move higher, it was immediately sold into. When you actually look at this from the technical standpoint, it is not a very positive price action what we saw today, because on a candle, on a daily candle, it would have created a big wick. The opening was flat, then there was a huge wick on the up, the markets closed lower, thereby it is a quite bearish signal, to be honest. But one thing what we should also keep in mind is that there is very good support at the lower levels around 34,700. So that's the reason, more or less, when you want to take a broader view for Bank Nifty, I would say Bank Nifty might consolidate around 34,500 to 35,500 for tomorrow's expiry. Again, I might be totally wrong with the view, but as of now, this is the view what we hold for Bank Nifty, that is 34,500 to 35,500. Now coming to Nifty, so Nifty today decisively closed below 16,400, which was considered to be a very strong support for Nifty. And looking at the price action, it does look like Nifty might find the next support around 16,200. There is some very stiff resistance at 16,500. Now when we actually look at Nifty, so there were only stock specific actions. It was not one sector which led the market higher, the other led the market lower. So it was mainly the stock specific action. And moving into tomorrow, that is the expiry day, we don't have a lot of news. That means what is really crucial is the global cues. Depending on how the global cues move, obviously that will influence the Nifty in quite a big way, because there is no other news flowing in. Apart from that, the VIX also ended up cooling down slightly, and it also came below 20. And as we had expected yesterday, there was a huge crash in the premiums, especially when you look at the 35,000 short straddle. The premiums eroded like anything. And as I mentioned, right now even the global cues are looking flat, so there is no big movement either in the Europe or the US futures. If this continues, then again tomorrow also we can open flat. And if we are opening flat by any chance, I particularly don't expect any big move on either of the sides. In case if we are opening a gap up or a gap down, then we might see some up move or a down move accordingly. And coming to today's trade, we also ended up making somewhere around 6.5 lakh profit. We had a bullish view in the morning and the markets went up, and once the market went up and started coming down, we sold a lot of calls, and this helped us actually increase our profit. So while the market shot up, we had a profit of somewhere close to 2.5-3 lakh, and again we sold a lot of calls. So while it was coming down, our profits increased to close to 5.5 to 6 lakh. So overall, end of the day, we ended with close to 6.5 lakh profit. I'll also be explaining what is the logic behind taking these trades and how we ended up in this position. And finally, we'll be discussing some trades what we have taken for tomorrow and what is the idea we have for tomorrow's expiry. So with this, we'll be now quickly moving on to the screen recording. Meanwhile, if you have liked the content, do not forget to hit the like button, share this video and subscribe to Optionables. Thank you so much for joining. Hi everyone, welcome to the video. And so this is the profit for today, which is around 6.5 lakh. And what is more important is to understand how we ended up doing this. And most of this was from the intraday trade itself and not from the positional trade. So just to give you a perspective, as I told you, we were quite bullish on the market, for the reason being Nifty and Bank Nifty had already corrected in spite of good global cues, and we expected markets might end up going higher after the policy. So similarly, after the policy, the market went higher. So initially we had done a 35,000 short straddle. So 35,000 CE and 35,000 PE. Initially we had done a 35,000 short straddle, and while the market started to shoot up, we started shorting lot of additional puts and we closed the 35,000 calls. So we short a lot of puts and we ended up closing a 35,000 calls. So after that, once I open the chart over here, so you can see that the market shot up, and while the market slowly started to come down, around this point, around 12 o'clock, I started to short 35,500 call option. So 35,000 call option is already squared off. I started to short 35,500 call option, and that is somewhere over here. So you can see I started to short 35,500 call option. So then what happened? The market was consolidating between 35,000 and 35,500, and then slowly we started to see a sell-off. So I was still holding on to the same position. I didn't do much with the position, and as Nifty came down towards the day's opening, that is 35,150. So this is around the day's opening, and it broke that and started to come down. At this point, I felt that okay, again markets might head towards 35,000 because it had broken the day's high and again it came well below that. I exited this 35,500 call option and again shorted 35,000 call option. So you might be wondering why exactly is this in profit. For the same reason, because even though we had booked a loss initially we gave up around 80 points, but again we ended up shorting the same call option twice the quantity, that is 2,000 quantity instead of 1,000. And now the market started to come down and we have a proper 35,000 short straddle, and the market started to come down and it came well towards 35,000 and broke that as well. So since we were double short, it actually acted well in our favor. And then finally what ended up happening is I held on to the same short straddle, that is 35,000 short straddle. So you can see end of the day I have 1,000 quantity short. So 1000 quantity of 35,000 call short, 1000 quantity of 35,000 put short. Only difference is now I have also hedged it with 34,500 and 35,500. So end of the day, nothing happened except for that I ended up hedging the same position and I still continue to hold the same position. So this is for today's trade. When we actually cumulate this itself, so you can see here we have 75,000, 1.5 lakh, 2.3 lakh and 1.1 lakh. This adds up to close to 5.75 lakh out of this 6.5 lakh, which means over 80% of what you're seeing here has come from intraday. And for tomorrow, the idea remains to be fairly simple. So by opening, if the markets are flat and let's say we end up getting around 40-50k in the opening, we will try to push for further 1 lakh. We would want to close anywhere between 1.5 to 2 lakh positive from the intraday trades alone. So that is what we have in the mind as of now. So that is the idea now. Since we are also working on the platform, we won't be trading aggressively. So the trades will be quite passive, and that's the reason we are only aiming for 1.5 to 2 lakh for tomorrow's expiry. So we'll be keeping some trades very simple and we'll try to adjust in case if necessary. Otherwise, if we are going to get some good profits without doing anything, that would be the best scenario what we would expect. So with this, we also come to the end of this video. If you have liked this, then do not forget to hit the like button, share this video and subscribe to Optionables. Thank you so much for joining.